16 years as the elected Mayor of Watford, it's all over.
Who'd have thought it?
How does it feel?
Well, actually, at the count, the then Labour leader, who in a sense I beat because he was expected to win, actually came up to me and told me that I wouldn't last 6 months. So I think 6 months to 16 years, I think that's an achievement.
What would you say, looking back and reflecting, what's been your biggest challenge?
I think the biggest challenge is actually trying to get a consensus across the town about where the town is going, because I had no doubt that the role of mayor, it's not a leader of a council, you're the mayor of the town. So if you're going to take the town in a certain direction, and as lots of your readers will know, the town was on the slippery slope down. So okay, what is the way we want to be? And I think that's been the biggest challenge, because you think you've got it sussed and you're going in a direction and then something will knock you off. So I think that's been the overall thing. And then I think the second difficult thing is the arrival of social media, actually, and dealing with some of the grassroots campaigns and things that suddenly just spring out of nowhere and all of that. So it's the kind of dealing with people stuff that has been both the love of the job and the most challenging.
On that subject of social media, politicians are being sort of vilified and unfairly so at times, and disgustingly so at times. How have you had to sort of cope with this?
Yeah, I have to say the worst time was the farm terrace allotment, and I'm not particularly picking on individuals or whatever, but I thought a troll was a little plastic doll with funny hair, until that kicked off. And it got so bad over one Christmas, the only day I got respite was Christmas Day, and that every time I knew I'd got a message, I was reacting badly. So I just started blocking. I know it's not what you're meant to do, but I thought, hey, my sanity matters here, and switching the thing off. And from that point, I never read another thing that they tweeted. I just thought, I won't be able to cope with this. So I broke all the Twitter rules, but kept my sanity.
Looking back, what would you say has been your proudest achievement?
Lots of them, actually. I think one of the first campaigns was keeping the hospital in Watford, and I'll never forget the Hemel Hempstead Gazette did an editorial saying, if we'd have had a mayor, we could have kept our hospital. And actually I remember thinking, that is the job of the mayor, to stand up for things for the town. The sad thing, of course, on that is that, 10 years later, okay, we're a little bit closer than we were. We have a plan now, and we just wait for funding for the hospital. But getting money into health for new facilities is a nightmare, and that's with an MP that is really on the case too. So it's still taken too long, but at least we've kept our hospital in Watford.
Mm. Any other proud achievements you want to reflect upon?
Lots of things. Actually getting the Into Centre, that was a touch and go job. Turning the council around so that people actually feel that their council is listening to them, and that when they ring up the mayor's office something will happen. Little things that you do individually for people. I mean, my office really do go the extra mile, and I banned the phrase, that's not our responsibility, it's the county council, because if somebody rings the mayor's office, they want help. I had an old boy ring to say, could I help him with his washing machine? And Fran said, you can't do that, Dorothy. And I said, I bet you there's another story here. And I went down, and sure enough, he needed adult social care, and he needed taking out of where he was. So a little simple thing like that, and we got him the help that he needed, and he still sends me a Christmas card.
Nice touch.
Yeah, so it's things great and small, really.
Looking back again, obviously, with proudest achievements, obviously brings on to what are your saddest things. What things have disappointed you over your 16 years?
The speed of the hospital changes there, really. I mean, we are so behind, and you go to other towns, and I went to Mansfield recently and looked at their hospital. It looks like something out of a space movie. It's so wow. And then you look at we've got world-class care in that hospital in third world facilities. So that is a real disappointment. And I have to say, losing the MLX. But I refuse to give up on that, and certainly You know, I hope the new mayor is Peter Taylor. I think whoever is the new mayor, they're going to have to, that link must happen in some shape or other, whether it's a tram, a guided bus, whatever. It's a really important part of the network for Watford, and we've got to try and fund it in some way.
Do you think it's realistic that could still happen?
Yes, but not in a rail solution. I think the time frame for that has now passed. Mayor Khan knew that, he absolutely knew it, which is why it took 2 months to reply to my letter, and the deadline of the 31st of August now, there's no way we could procure it by then, and you know, they knew that. So we're going to have to look for an alternative, but we will. The county and ourselves are determined, and our MP.
You feel let down by the London Mayor?
Yes, yeah, there's no words to describe how angry I feel, actually, to not even give us the decency of a hearing, to actually hear how we might be able to bridge that funding gap, to not even sit us around the table and then write 2 weeks before an election and say, oh, I really support it, I'm just not prepared to take the risk. Political fig leaf, sorry. I know he's popular, but...
if you came back into the office again 16 years, like...
Yeah, if I was here.
What would you do differently?
I think I'm not sure that I can even answer that question, because I am who I am. I think the problems are different. I think now the town, the issues around the town really are about overdevelopment, congestion and all of that. So I think there are very different problems for the new mayor to face. I think we need to really engage with people a lot more on some of these big issues. So I think it's more a case of, you know, kind of reinventing the role. I'm often told that I am shoot from the hip and I'm a bit of a maverick sometimes. So I'm not sure how I would do things differently, but that's just me.
What was your reaction to the criticism over the amount paid to your staff while the public have endured austerity over the last 10 years plus?
Well, our staff haven't had a pay rise for like 10 years. So if it's agreed that the public sector can have a miserable 2% pay rise, I think they're entitled to it. You know, I'm pro the public sector, and I think they've been waiting for a pay rise. I think we've had pay constraint for a bit too long.
Other parties in the town have sort of said that they think the office could be cut and the mayor's salary is too much and all that kind of stuff. Do you think if those sort of things happen, that would be at the detriment to the town?
I think it's because they don't know what the mayor's office does. The quality of service that my caseworker gives in there, it's the heartbeat of this council. So everybody who rings gets a gold service, and it's a way of telling the mayor what's going on.
Brexit. Ooh. How do you see that affecting Watford in the future?
I'm a glass half full girl, so I don't want to say it'll be a disaster, although I worry about it. I think it's obviously how it impacts on business and on jobs is the clear and obvious thing, because our town needs to thrive economically, and anything that has a detrimental impact on inward investment and growth and all of that will mean people out of jobs, standard of living dropping. But I also believe, you know, we kind of make the best of a bad job, and I think that even though I voted to remain and I'm a passionate Remainer, I think we'll just have to get on with it and get over it.
How do you think politicians locally can win back the trust of the public?
It's an interesting one, because at an individual level, if you say to people, what do you think about politicians, you get a load of abuse and, oh, they're terrible. But if you actually say, what do you think of Dorothy Thornhill or Richard Harrington, you get quite a different picture, because they see you as a person and an individual. But when we're all lumped together like second-hand car salesmen or the equivalent, so, you know, I think it's up to each of us in our roles to just do our role with integrity and decency and defend. You know, I will defend my salary, and be upfront about it and be open and transparent, and, you know, I think that's actually all we can do.
You and Richard Harrington get on very well, despite being rivals politically. What advice would you give your successor in terms of fighting fairly
I think, as the mayor of the town, you know, I would sup with the devil if it made things better for Watford. And you know, you have to go beyond the party politics and actually work with whoever can help you to make things better. And I've done that with the county council, who we had a terrible relationship with. You know, our previous Labour MP wouldn't even meet with me. You know, ridiculous state of affairs. Whereas I have worked with Richard Harrington, and get credit where it's due. He's worked with me. You know, he'll say that's for Dorothy to deal with. I'll deal with that, and that's worked well. So to my successor, I would say, if you actually want the best for Watford, you've got to do and work with whoever can help you realise those aims.
On a light-hearted note, what would you say if you ever met Donald Trump?
Bye bye.
And someone else sent us a question in saying, if you could buy anyone you liked for Watford Football Club, who do you think it would be?
Oh, who would it be? Zaha.
Oh, you like Zaha?
Yes, yeah, I do. Although he's our bête noire, well, that's probably completely politically incorrect, and I don't mean it like that. I actually think he's he's extremely talented, and he's quite a sparky guy, and he'd fit in our team brilliantly.
So I see at Watford Football Club on a number of occasions. Obviously, they're dear to your heart, but hasn't how the football club's developed certainly during your tenure?
Just like the town. In fact, it mirrors the story of the town. When I became mayor, all our institutions were failing. Hospital, the college in special measures, you know, our hospital going down the pan, our football club struggling, the town really on a wobble. And independently and together, we've pulled ourselves up, and we continue to support the club's aspirations to have a bigger stadium. Again, you know, any mayor wants to keep them in the town, don't want them talking about moving. So we will do whatever we can to support their aspirations, because I know they need to have more bums on seats.
Is that likely that they can expand the ground further to the capacity?
Yes, I think so. We might have to be clever, and our planners might have to be a bit inventive, but I'm sure we'll get somewhere.
Cool. If there was a song that could reflect your 16 years in office,
God.
What would it be?
Apart from "I Will Survive,"
I think you
which
survived.
I actually
think you survived.
think is it. Yeah. I have survived.
Unfinished business?
MLX, Into. I hope they invite me to the opening. And I think moving the town on in terms of how they feel about development and you know, the next phase of the town. I'm quite envious of whoever's going to do that job, because I think it's going to be critical in setting, you know, Watford for the youngsters who are out there now. What's their Watford going to look like in 20 years' time?
How sad are you that next Friday will be your last day here?
I don't think it's actually hit me yet. I think I'm still making decisions. I'm pinging off emails to the staff like it's not ending really. So I think it'll probably hit me in the middle of summer, when for the first time in my life I've actually got an August with nothing to do. But yes, there will be sadness. But actually, I think for a politician to leave when it's your own choice to leave, and to know that it's time for somebody else to pick up the reins, and it is time for somebody else, and new thinking, younger blood, energy, that's what the town needs now.
The Labour government infamously left a note when the last Chancellor exited that all the money's gone. What would your note be for your predecessor?
Whoever you are, you will have inherited a council in a better state than the one Labour left me.
And finally, what now for Dorothy?
The retirement home in the Thames, on the Thames. I'm really looking forward to the House of Lords. I've been pottering in and out, so I kind of know my way around now. I know how it works, and I think I can do a role. I don't just want to be somebody who goes up there, sits there and comes home. I actually want to do a job, and I'm looking forward to getting stuck in now.
Probably one of your biggest challenges maybe to keep the old codgers awake?
It does make me feel young. It's really lovely being there. I look round and feel distinctly young. But that said, that's the image of the Lords, but actually there's some very sharp people. They know their business. And I'm sat opposite people who were, I remember, as spitting image puppets, you know. And you just think, wow, you've still got it between the ears. They still know, you know, what's what and which way's up.
Well, I'll certainly miss you. All the time we've been publishing the town, you've been the mayor, and you've been very supportive of the magazines, and I think you've done an incredible job. And
I think you've been fair to me too. Thank you.
So good luck.
Yeah, good luck to you too.
We'll miss you.